The smell of hot oil clung to me before the sun even came up. I already knew. I'd come home exhausted, my uniform reeking of grease, my throat raw. But singing was my only comfort. Between screams for fries and sodas, my voice found a way to breathe. I'd sing softly between orders, trying not to draw attention, yet secretly hoping someone would hear. My name was spelled wrong on the badge. Emily with 2 L's. I never corrected it. Just another reminder of how invisible I was. But when I sang, even with my back to the counter, some part of me felt alive. That Tuesday morning, the restaurant was especially packed. A school trip, a line out the door, and the manager yelling we were wasting valuable time. I was quietly humming at last while wiping down abandoned trays. That's when I heard the question. Whose voice is that? I froze. Stopped mid-song. Glanced over my shoulder. A tall man in a dark suit, headphones around his neck, was staring right at me. I thought he might be a confused customer, but he didn't look annoyed. He looked curious. I gave a half smile, pretending it wasn't me. Kept cleaning, but he didn't move. Instead of walking off with his order, he started talking. Have you ever recorded anything? What do you mean? Your voice. You really sing. I laughed it off like it was ridiculous. But inside, my heart was pounding. I knew I could sing. I've sung since I was a kid, on the porch with my mom, with shampoo bottles in the shower, through stomachaches and breakups. But recording? That was another world. He placed a card on the dirty tray I was holding. Call me. I'm not joking. His name was Marcus. And something in his eyes told me he really wasn't. I went back to my shift like nothing happened. But his words stuck with me. That night, I stared at the company name on the card 20 times. It was a real label. I wanted to call right then. But I didn't have credit on my phone. Worse, I didn't have the guts. It took me 3 days to build the courage. 3 days of hearing these fries are cold and more sauce, girl. 3 days scrubbing the same greasy floor with the card tucked in my sock. On Friday night, during the closing shift, my coworker Letitia saw me staring at the number again. She said, just call. Worst thing that happens, he laughs at your voice. And if he does, we keep flipping burgers together. I called. He answered on the 3rd ring, like he'd been waiting. His voice sounded calmer on the phone. He said he heard me singing and couldn't get my tone out of his head. That he wanted to see me in the studio. Just a test. On Saturday, after my shift, I went. Took 2 buses. Wore my only shirt without mayonnaise stains. My voice was tired, but Marcus didn't care. He gave me honey water. Introduced me to a guy named Leo, a music producer who heard 3 notes and said, she's different. Raw, but different. They asked me to sing anything. I chose Natural Woman, a cappella. Just my voice and what was left of my courage. When I finished, the studio went silent. Leo gave a crooked smile and said quietly, she's not messing around. The following week felt unreal. Between my double shifts, I kept playing back that studio moment in my head. Leo's words echoed like a melody I couldn't forget, she's not messing around. I went back to work, but everything felt smaller. The fryer beeped like usual, customers still complained, and my feet still ached by hour 4. But inside, something had shifted. Marcus texted me 2 days later. Want to try another session? Got something in mind for your voice. I said yes. Took another bus. This time, I brought a notebook with lyrics I'd written during late breaks. Stuff I never showed anyone. He read them. Quietly. Then looked up. You write too? I nodded. He slid one of my pages to Leo. She's not just a voice. That day, they let me record one of my own songs. A simple chorus I'd written on a napkin during a night shift. Leo added soft piano behind me. I sang it with my eyes closed. When I finished, I heard the click of the stop button. Then silence. Again. But it wasn't awkward. It was that kind of silence that only comes when something lands. I started going every Saturday. Some days we recorded covers, other days my lyrics. Marcus said he didn't want to rush it. Your story matters as much as your sound. One night, he asked if I'd ever performed live. I laughed. Only to a mop. He smiled. Well, let's upgrade your audience. He invited me to a showcase. Intimate. 10 people, all industry folks. I almost said no. But he didn't pressure. Just said, you're ready. Even if you don't feel it yet. I sang 3 songs. My hands trembled so much I thought I'd drop the mic. But when I hit the final note of my original track, someone in the back stood up and clapped. I don't remember the rest clearly. Just that I cried in the bathroom after. Not because I messed up. But because, for the first time, I felt seen. A few days after the showcase, Marcus called. I thought it was just to talk next steps. But his voice was sharper. Excited. You got a bite. What? Someone wants to sign you. I froze. Sat down on the floor of my tiny apartment next to the laundry I hadn't folded. He told me it was a boutique label, smaller, but respected. Focused on voices with soul, with story. People like me. I couldn't believe it. I walked to work that day like I was floating. Not even the broken fryer or the shouting manager could bring me down. Later that night, I told Letitia. She screamed louder than I did. You better take me on tour one day. 2 weeks later, I quit the job. Folded my greasy apron one last time and left it on the counter. When I walked out that door, I wasn't just leaving a job. I was stepping into something I never thought I'd touch. My voice was no longer just a comfort in the noise. It was the thing leading me out of it. The first weeks after signing felt like a blur. Contracts, meetings, photo shoots, I was living scenes I'd only watched on YouTube before bed, still wearing my apron. But there was one moment that made it all feel real. I was in a tiny sound booth, headphones on, recording the final vocals for my debut single. Leo leaned into the intercom and said, let's do that bridge again, but this time, don't think about the notes. Think about the shift from cleaning tables to this. I did. I sang the bridge like I was still gripping a mop. Like I was singing between fryer alarms. Like my voice was the only thing that kept me standing when my feet went numb. When I finished, Leo whispered, now that's who you are. That track became the first song we released. Second Shift Heart. It was raw. Honest. And to our surprise, it caught fire. People started using it in TikToks, stories, late-night crying reels. My voice was suddenly in other people's moments, and they felt me. My mom cried when she heard it. She called from our old porch, the one where we used to sing when the power went out. You sound like someone I used to know, but louder, she said. I visited her the week the song hit 100,000 streams. I brought groceries, cleaned the gutters, and played her a new song on my phone. She closed her eyes the whole time. You're gonna go far, baby. But don't go too fast. Don't forget who you sing for. Those words stayed with me. Even when things picked up. Because the label wanted more. More songs. A music video. A small tour. I was excited, but scared too. I didn't want to lose the part of me that started singing between drive-through orders. Before the tour, I went back to the fast food joint. Not for nostalgia. For grounding. Lidisha was still there. She screamed when she saw me. Said she played my song in the kitchen every shift. Management banned it. Said it made people cry too much, she laughed. That night, I wrote a song called Apron Strings. It was for her. For me. For everyone still singing in silence. Tour started in a van. No big buses. No glam. Just me, Leo, and 2 speakers we barely knew how to set up. We hit 6 cities in 2 weeks. Small bars. Art cafes. 1 rooftop gig where it rained halfway through my set. I kept singing. The crowd stayed. In one show, a woman about my age waited after to talk. She wore a fast food visor, just like mine. I've been scared to leave, she said. But hearing you, I think I'm gonna try. That broke me. In the best way. It wasn't just about the voice anymore. It was about what it carried. Stories. Fear. Hope. The ache of being overlooked. The relief of being heard. After that, I started writing differently. Not for hits. For healing. Marcus noticed. This is it, he said. You're not just making music. You're creating mirrors. I didn't fully understand at the time. But every night, someone in the crowd cried quietly in the back. Or mouthed every word. Or waited just to say, thank you. And each time, I felt that shift again. From silence to sound. From background noise to voice. The label called it a breakout year. I was flown out to record with artists I'd grown up listening to. There were interviews, panels, even a magazine feature where they asked, "What's your origin story?" I told them the truth. I was wiping trays when I got discovered. They laughed like it was a metaphor. But it wasn't. The truth didn't sound glamorous, but it was mine. And I started to realize, people didn't connect with polish, they connected with honesty. So I kept writing songs that sounded like conversations I wish I had. With my mom. With my younger self. With the girl who thought music was just a private thing you did while scrubbing grease off your hands. Then came the email. A festival in Portugal. Big stage. Real lights. 20,000 people. I read it 3 times before I believed it. I called Marcus immediately. Do they know who I am? They do, he said. They've been watching you. The videos, the story, the heart. It hit me all at once. I was going to sing overseas. And not just anywhere, on a stage where people wouldn't even speak my language, but might still feel every word. My first international flight felt like a dream I wasn't supposed to be dreaming. I stared out the window the whole time. Couldn't sleep. I thought about Lidisha. About my mom. About the sound of the fryer. The festival was bigger than anything I'd seen. Soundchecks, tents, flashing wristbands, crews running everywhere. I felt tiny in the middle of it all. Backstage, I panicked. My hands were ice. My heart raced. I started doubting everything. What if they didn't understand me? What if my voice cracked? Marcus found me pacing in the corner. He said, "You're not here because of luck. You're here because you sing like you mean it." I took a breath. Put in my in-ears. Walked onto that stage. The lights hit my face. The crowd went quiet. And I sang the first line of Second Shift Heart. And they sang it back. Thousands of voices. In sync. From a song I wrote at 2 a.m. on a napkin covered in ketchup stains. I could barely finish the chorus. I was crying too much. After that night, everything changed. Labels started calling Marcus. A manager wanted to talk. A brand offered me a deal. I should have felt powerful. But something inside me tightened. Was I ready for this? Was I losing what made it real? I started noticing how people only wanted the fast food girl story. That was the hook. The headline. But I wasn't a headline. I was a person still trying to find her voice, even with a mic in her hand. I told Leo one night, I don't want to become a product. He nodded. Then don't. Make them meet the person instead. So I said no to a campaign that wanted me to pose in uniform again. I said no to the interview that only wanted the rags to riches angle. Instead, I booked a school gym. In my old neighborhood. I invited no press. Just locals. I sang songs they hadn't heard yet. About missing buses. About mom's voice. About fear. At the end of the night, a little girl came up to me. Hair in a messy ponytail. She whispered, "I sing when I clean too." I smiled, knelt down, and said, "That's where I started." Because no matter where I went, or how big the crowd got, my voice would always belong to the girl who sang just to survive the noise. I didn't expect the world tour offer. It came quietly, an email forwarded from Marcus while I was in the kitchen making tea. A rising global artist was looking for an opener. Someone authentic. Someone with a story. Marcus just wrote, "This could be everything. But only if it still feels like you." We had 14 cities in 9 countries. Some venues held more people than my entire hometown. I sang with my name on glowing screens, watched people hold up lyrics I wrote in tears. But in every city, I asked for one thing. A local diner. No fancy food, no catering. Just a quiet booth, a paper menu, and if I was lucky, someone humming while wiping a table nearby. In Tokyo, it was a woman in her 50s humming an old jazz melody. In Berlin, a boy who beatboxed while sweeping crumbs. In Rio, a teenager with earbuds in, mouthing the words to a Portuguese ballad. And I'd leave each of them a note. Don't stop singing. Because that's how this started. And how, I hoped, it would never end. The final stop was New York. A theater I used to pass as a kid during summer trips, thinking, I'll never belong in there. And now my name was on the marquee. My mom came. Front row. Wore the same earrings she used to put on for church choir. Lidisha came too. Flew in with her own money. Said it was an investment in emotional healing. Before the show, I sat alone backstage and stared at myself in the mirror. Not the girl with the label. Not the girl with the fans. Just the girl with the voice. I thought of every night I had sung just to stay awake. To feel something. To remember I was more than the shift, more than the silence. And then the lights dimmed. And the curtain rose. And I walked out, barefoot. No costume. No intro. Just a mic. And I started with the same song I sang that first day in the kitchen. At last. When the show ended, I didn't want to leave the stage. I stood there, soaking in the echo of applause, thinking about how far a voice can go when someone finally listens. Later that night, I opened a message on Instagram. It was from a girl I didn't know. She wrote, "Your story saved mine. I work the night shift. And I sing." I stared at the screen. And I cried. Because I wasn't famous. I was found. Because I didn't make it. I made space. Because the stage never changed me, it just made me louder. And I'll keep singing. For the girl in the apron. For the ones still stuck in the noise. For anyone waiting to be heard. Even if it starts with a whisper. Even if it begins behind the fryer. Even if no one's listening yet. Someone will be. I know that now. Because someone once was. Sometimes, life feels like a long shift in a place where no one sees us. We go through routines, clocking in, cleaning up, doing what's expected, while hiding pieces of ourselves the world never gets to hear. And we convince ourselves that dreams are only for people who already have the stage. That talent without connections is just background noise. But then a story like this reminds us. Your voice matters, even if you're singing while scrubbing a counter. Your passion is real, even if it's whispered between orders. Your worth isn't defined by the uniform you wear or the title on your name tag. Because someone, somewhere, is listening. Even when you don't know it. That's the beauty of life. Opportunity doesn't always arrive with a spotlight. Sometimes, it walks in quietly, in a suit, orders a burger, and sees you. So, wherever you are right now, at work, on the bus, tired from trying, keep showing up as yourself. Keep creating. Keep singing your truth. Because the world needs less perfection and more real. Less polish and more courage. And if no one's heard your voice yet, that doesn't mean it's small. It just means the right ears haven't found it yet. Speech balloon, thank you for staying with me through this journey. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you feel seen, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this video with someone who needs a reminder. Your voice is not background noise. Until next time, keep singing, keep believing, and remember, even the quietest voices can echo across the world.